at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel. Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel.
Welcome back to the final Resident Evil film with Resident Evil Retribution. You just gotta love that fucking generic subtitle. And with Alice, the Redfields, and presumably what remains of the human race under attack from Umbrella, we're not exactly wanting for action set pieces. Here's hoping the connection between this film and the previous one lasts longer than that opening action sequence, and the film doesn't turn into a giant swollen mass of complete gibberish. So let's take a look at Resident Evil Retribution. The film begins, as I said, with a battle taking place on the Arcadia, and it's all taking place backwards, because we're getting all arty for no fucking reason. And then it's time for Alice's narration recounting the events of the first film. Yes, you heard me right. She's recounting just the first film.
You're all going to die down here.
Is it me, or is Alice's recollection of the events of the first film a little sketchy? Because last time I checked, the Red Queen looked like this. What the fuck happened? Why does she look incredibly and unnecessarily pissed off all of a sudden? Her disarming appearance in the first movie was what made her slightly creepy. Now she just looks stupid. Alice continues to explain the fucked up plot of this series, pretty much glossing over all the other films, just so you know how much the previous movies actually don't matter in the end.
Even my friend Jill Valentine was seized and brainwashed by Umbrella.
Shoot to kill.
And turns out Alice knew that already, when it was news to the audience. Seamless retcon there. And then we watch the entire opening sequence again, and it's exactly the same too, just played forwards this time, because, my god, we need to pad the fuck out of this film and fast. But skipping all that pointless bollocks, Alice is knocked into the water and captured by Umbrella. What happened to all those people on the Arcadia? Claire and Chris Redfield? Not to mention Ashley from Resident Evil 4? Never mentioned or seen ever again. Just like that, everything to do with the last film didn't happen, because none of it pertains to this film. Anderson just took his big red marker and started slashing away at the script, the same way they got rid of things in the last film, like the Alice clones. We then, finally, start the movie proper with a healthy dose of the what the fucks, as Alice wakes up in a delightful suburban life in her underwear. Hey, there that is. I was starting to miss that. And suburban Alice's husband is actually the previously dead Carlos Oliveira. They also have a hearing-impaired daughter, just in case you needed to be more sympathetic. But, in all fairness, the character wasn't meant to be hearing-impaired, the actress just gave a great audition. Why she bothered for this is another question entirely, though. And then, before you get too comfortable, suddenly zombies. And Carlos is bitten again. There's just no break for that guy. Alice and her daughter run from the many zombies who have entered the house and get into the laundry room. Alice breaks through the roof, narrowly escaping the zombies. I'm well aware this opening is meant to be intentionally confusing, but we're 5 fucking movies in. I shouldn't be so confused in such a short space of time, because something, anything should have an explanation or connection to the previous movies. This is a complete blindside of confusing gibberish. Let's continue, shall we? After the house has quieted down, Alice opens the attic door to see if the coast is clear. They make their way through the house, Alice nearly knocking over a vase, and then having to run from a zombie. So we know she's not her superpowered self here. And she gets her daughter out of the window and smacks the zombie for good measure before joining her. Alice is about to make it outside, and I'm telling you this beforehand because, to me, the scene plays out in an eerily familiar way. Just watch and I'll show you what I mean. First, Alice climbs out of a window to escape a zombie, which is very similar to a scene in the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Then, Alice gets out to the front of her house to see the place is in utter chaos, and there's an accident with a police car, which again is very similar to the scene in Dawn of the Dead, in which there's similar suburban chaos, and there's an accident involving an ambulance. Hey, I'm not outright saying rip-off here, but the series did pretty much rip off Day of the Dead and Extinction, so I'm not ruling it out, because Anderson would have to reference better films to keep this shit going. And while watching the chaos, Alice is almost run over by none other than Michelle Rodriguez, who's alive in the series again, somehow. Still very confused here. She lets them in the car, and I love how they show her not being the kicking-ass mercenary she was before by showing us she drives a Prius with leaves on it. I mean, she can't possibly be a badass. She drives a hybrid. The very idea. Alice is safe in the car for a full minute before it's taken out by a truck, which seems to cause the explosives in the car's boot to go off. Physics. They're rules made to be broken. Alice and her daughter are okay and get out of the car, not checking on Rodriguez, so fuck her, I guess. They get inside a house running from more zombies. They run upstairs and hide in the closet, as a zombie enters the room searching for them. Oh great, so the film's fully embracing the fucking stupid Magini-style zombies now. Just try to ignore the glaring lack of common sense in that, okay? Good. Alice jumps out of the closet attacking the zombie. Getting it out of the room, there's a struggle until Alice manages to push it over the banister, impaling it below. Which is the kind of stumble into victory I'm not used to seeing from Alice. Unfortunately for Alice, a dead Carlos appears with his own Magini mouth killing her. Why has the series completely moved away from the T-virus now? What, were normal zombies far too boring? It's almost a perfect metaphor, actually. A regular zombie, just with pointless and completely nonsensical CGI crap added on top of it. Yeah, I can see that. Back to normality and the original Alice waking up in a big room. But who did this? There must be some kind of clue to the people responsible. If only there was some kind of identifying mark. Oh, I almost forgot. There we go. I knew the scene was missing something. Alice looks around the cell, very confused, and... okay, she's walking around in what amounts to 2 napkins, for God's sake. It's very distracting. I can fix this. Okay, I got a few in the bank now at least. Let's continue. It's then Jill appears in an observation window to ask why Alice turned against Umbrella. Alice doesn't answer and is then subjected to audio-based torture. Insert modern pop music joke here. And the torture continues for some time, it seems.
Jill, why are you doing this?
After the torture, which goes nowhere, the power suddenly goes out, and a drawer in the cell opens up along with the door, so Alice can escape in a delightfully new dominatrix outfit, because there's nothing more effective in combat than skin-tight lycra. Once Alice is free, the base's troops, who are all sleeping, wake up, with Jill being reactivated through the beetle on her chest. That seems like a completely stupid thing to do. If the power to the base goes down, every single guard and soldier is shut down as well. I don't want to tell them their jobs, but they might want to fix that. Alice walks the corridor, but is then forced to run as the good old laser grid appears to chase her. Getting to a big door that opens up for her, she suddenly finds herself in Shibuya Crossing, Tokyo. Again with the what the fuck. Alice breaks a window on a cop car, finding a gun inside, and then the computer activates the Tokyo sequence, which recreates the beginning of the last film with the Japanese girl attacking the same man, and the place goes all zombie. What in the name of holy fuck is going on? Seriously, why does Umbrella need a perfect recreation of the Tokyo outbreak? And why is it still operational after the whole zombie apocalypse thing? I honestly can't wait for this explanation. Anyway, Alice runs back inside the laser corridor because that's the smartest idea, and she starts fighting the zombies who chased after her, in an overly acrobatic, overly choreographed slow-mo affair. And just to make it that much more fake, regardless of the kind of damage Alice does to the zombies, the pristine white room never gets a single drop of blood on it. Until the fight ends, that is. See? Even when we see the blood spray, it doesn't actually land on anything. More zombies run in, but a door opens up to allow Alice to get free. The lights turn on, starting with the big Umbrella logo, of course. Then the floor opens up with computer terminals, and all the central control personnel are dead at their desks, and Alice gets a hefty resupply of weapons. But suddenly, Ada Wong appears to have a mini fight with Alice, getting held at knife point by her, until Ada explains that she's on her side, and so is Albert Wesker. Yes, after experimenting on her, trying to blow her up, beat her to death, shoot her, and then eat her, Wesker is now a good guy. Forgive me if I'm not inclined to believe that. Wesker just did such a violent heel turn, I'm surprised his shins didn't explode out of his legs and rocket off into the sky. This is not how you write characters, for fuck's sake. Jill gets her team of soldiers assembled to kill our good guys, though I use that term loosely. And then we see the footage of Ada killing all the people in the computer room. But if she shot them from the centre of the room, why isn't there any bullets in the glass anywhere? Does Ada have bullet curving abilities? Which, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. Ada and Wesker explain what's going on, that they're here to rescue Alice.
The human race faces extinction. Our only hope of survival is for us to work together.
Yeah, and whose fault is that, dickhead? He also explains Tokyo, that it was a detailed recreation, and the Umbrella base has recreations for New York, Tokyo, Russia, and China, so they can illustrate the virus's power and sell it to the country's rivals. That's all fine and good. Actually, no, it's overly complicated and just plain stupid. But the real question is, why is it still operational now? You don't need to recreate a viral outbreak, it's already fucking happened. But of course, the real reason it's like that is so the movie can go to many different locales without the need to explain it. They get ready to make their escape, and Wesker has also sent in his own little band of heroes to help Alice and Ada. Shall we see who they are? They are Luther West from the last film, Barry Burton from Resident Evil 1, and Leon Kennedy from numerous Resident Evil games. And let's not forget... and... I wonder who's going to get killed off first. It's a little too late to start adding characters in from the games if you ask me. And yeah, now we know why the Redfields disappeared. They served their purpose, they need to go away so they can shove new characters in, even though it would make more sense for the Redfields to be part of the team. But we can't have too much of a connection to the previous film. As I said, that's far too difficult to keep track of. They set explosives with a 2-hour timer because the film needs to invent an arbitrary ticking clock to add some false suspense. And then Wesker tells Alice who exactly is in charge of Umbrella these days.
Who's giving these orders?
The Red Queen.
The computer?
Yes. The same artificial intelligence you encountered in the hive.
Yeah, she doesn't look like the same Red Queen if you ask me.
Don't listen to the traitor, Wesker. I am in control now. You're all going to die down here.
I've heard that before.
No offense to the actress playing the Red Queen, but she looks really ridiculous. It's trying way too hard to make her look scary. And when she gave the "you're all going to die down here" line, why did she have to turn to the side for that? It was to emulate the way she did it in the first film, but that just makes it more ridiculous. The team are on the elevator and they make it inside the facility, getting surrounded by guards, but using some kind of device they manage to take out the entire room. Hey, I'm glad they brought those. They'll get through the base in no time. Oh wait, they only brought one. Well, it was good while it lasted. Alice and Ada have made it into the New York simulation, and Alice poses a question.
Why would Umbrella continue to run these tests?
They want to study the biohazard, learn how to control it.
Initialize New York sequence.
No, that's stupid. I think learning to control it has passed the point of no return. And you don't need detailed recreations of people and places to do that. Then the Red Queen activates the New York simulation, which is actually just 2 of those Axe guys. I guess my question in the last film of who created them is answered. But why? Because firstly, they're not part of the T-virus, so they don't serve to understand that. And secondly, isn't there far more efficient biohazard killing machines that could be made? It's a lot of effort to make those guys for really no reason. And they're kind of shit, as Alice and Ada just explode a car on them, killing them instantly. Also, that wasn't much of an outbreak scenario if you ask me. The strike team have made it into the Moscow area, and the Red Queen actually says she's sending the Las Plagas undead to deal with them. Watch my last video for a detailed reason why Las Plagas here doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's mostly so we can have a big shooty gun scene, and regular zombies wouldn't do that. Alice and Ada make it to suburbia to meet up with the strike team, who are late, and Alice notices they're being watched from a window. They go inside the same house we saw the other Alice in, who they find dead.
They're using clones of me.
Of course. You were one of the 50 basic models. Umbrella imprints them with basic memories. Just enough to ensure a correct emotional response to the threat of the biohazard.
So they're making clones of people to test these scenarios, which again is very stupid and very inefficient. But why would they create clones of Alice again? Because I got news for them. The last time they did that, it didn't go so well. And if she's exactly the same as Alice, just with different memories, what's to stop her from getting infected by the T-virus and becoming another Umbrella-hating killing machine? That's so stupid, I can't believe it. And upstairs, Alice goes to the closet the girl was hiding in, but finding a zombie instead, killing it pretty quickly. But then the girl appears, thinking she's her mother, not really fazed by the bondage gear she's wearing. Alice finds a family photo of her, Carlos and the girl. Ada tells her it's all fake and she should leave the girl, but Alice isn't inclined to do that. Outside, Umbrella soldiers have shown up, and it's the guys from the first film, with Rains, Colin Salmon's character, and Carlos, because the other team members weren't as memorable, I guess. And Rains is set up to be the badass, heartless soldier willing to kill a child as well. What is the point exactly in making Rains a heartless badass when last time we saw her, she was a sympathetic good guy for the most part, and her dying at the end of the first film was a sad thing? Don't the filmmakers realise that first and foremost, it's just confusing, but it also severely undermines her much better written character in the first film? So the shooting begins as Alice and Ada aren't really willing to give up. They hold up in the house as it gets destroyed in the process. Ada gives Alice some glasses and tells her to get out of there, giving Alice her grapple gun. The soldiers then fire an explosive at the house, forcing Ada to improvise. Wow, we're going all the way back to Underworld to take scenes from. That shows an astonishing lack of commitment to the film. And running away from the house, it's clear Alice has been shot, which won't amount to anything. Back in Moscow, there's more shooty gun with the team getting overrun. And oh no, good old is killed by a chainsaw-wielding undead. How could this happen to He was my favourite. Alice and the girl get into the subway, and then the pacifist Rains shows up.
You two made it! I thought I was the only one that survived. What is this place, and why is everything in Russian? And what's with the S&M get-up?
Oh god, the movie has become self-aware. Everybody, get your weapons and run for your lives! Run! Okay, it was a false alarm. The movie was just trying to be clever. Let's continue. I'm keeping this close by, though.
You know how to use this?
I campaigned for gun control. I don't think you understand. I marched against the NRA.
Concentrate.
Oh, we're getting political now, are we? But I'm sure the hybrid-driving pacifist suburban woman will actually turn out to be useful and not just die pointlessly and uselessly, cementing just where Paul W.S. Anderson's political views lie. Alice leaves the girl with Rains and she goes off to find the strike team who are still in Moscow. No, not... He was my second favourite after... Why, oh why does the most important characters die first? Oh, the humanity! So anyway, the strike team shoot at the strangely souped up liquor until Alice drives in to save them with an unnecessarily blinged out Rolls Royce. Which makes me think it's here just so someone can have one. That's the only reason I can think of for it being in the movie. Also, does that mean Umbrella owns Rolls Royce? Leon asks Alice what happened to Ada, which Alice thinks she's dead.
I'm sorry.
You saw her die.
No?
She always has a plan.
Yeah, if you count flying by the seat of her pants and improvising like hell a plan. The Russian zombies start shooting at the car, taking chase, but Alice does some fancy manoeuvres, taking out a few on bikes, and then they bust out the rocket launcher. Well, isn't that a massive endorsement for the car? Rolls-Royce, the elegant battering ram. After more chasing and shooting, the liquor returns chasing the car, and Alice jumps the car off a conveniently placed ramp in slow motion, naturally, and down in the subway, crashing into construction scaffolding, crushing the liquor in the process. They all meet up with Rains and the girl, but the strike team no longer has a map, but Alice has a trick from Ada.
I'm on it.
Oh, and out they come, the brainy specs. You don't even need them. You just think they make you look a bit clever.
So anyway, Alice uses the glasses to find a way out. Brainy specs do help you to think after all. And the liquor gets free, presumably to chase after them. They make their way to the elevator and the Red Queen overhears them as she cuts the power. And she specifically says she's dispatched a biohazard, which is another liquor who attacks Barry, takes the girl, why I've no real idea, and hits Rains, killing her instantly. So she was fucking important to the movie! And the liquor has no in-universe reason to take the girl. It wasn't ordered to, and liquors don't usually do anything but kill. Except here, of course, because we need a reason to extend this gibberish, and to give Alice a reason to save the girl. That is the only reason she's here, after all. even though we haven't really seen Alice bond with the child at all, but whatever. And Barry is severely wounded and probably going to die, because he's not been in as many games as Leon, I guess. Which would seriously make me worry about Luther at this point. Alice wants to get the girl, with Leon strongly suggesting to leave her, but Alice insists with her "I'm gonna punch you in the face" look, which is the same as her regular look, and Luther says he's going with her.
It's okay.
You see, Luther's got a big target on his arse now. Barry is still pretty active and starts shooting the Umbrella guys with Leon and Luther, as Alice makes her way up to where the liquor took the girl. Alice finds the girl's discarded bag and continues down the corridor, stopping because of her bullet wound, which again won't amount to anything. And back with the strike team, they're fending off Jill and her clones. Leon and Luther fall back, and Barry makes the self-sacrifice last stand. Alice manages to find the girl, who for some reason has been encased in some kind of pod. I've no idea. This is completely different to the way lickers are supposed to act. She manages to get to the pod, shooting the liquor as she does, getting the girl out, and finding grenades in the other pod for later use. Back in the gunfight, Barry makes his last stand as the clone troops bring out Ada handcuffed, demanding Barry surrender. He steps out of cover and is immediately shot, but he threw his gun in the air before collapsing, and in one last act of heroism manages to get a shot off, killing Colin Salmon before being gunned down properly. Which is kind of pointless, because he's a clone, but never mind. Anderson, why do you hate Colin Salmon? You have killed him 3 times now. Twice in the same franchise. What's the deal, man? Or do you just think he gets death perfectly right? I really want to know. Alice continues to run with the girl, and they make it to the giant clone room, as all the clones of everyone are neatly sorted, ready for putting into simulations. Hey, that's when the warehouse is running smoothly. You should see it when it's run badly. The liquor returns and Alice drops the grenades, blowing it up pretty simply, with the strike team's explosives detonating, which causes the entire base to be flooded, killing the clone soldiers, except for Jill of course. And the elevator manages to get where Alice came out of her escape route very, very conveniently. They get to the snowmobile and start making their way back to the zombie-filled world. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. But we've yet to have a big boss fight for the movie, so a submarine bursts through the ice, piloted by Jill of course, as she and Rains get out with Ada, who I just realised the strike team kind of fucked over, leaving her to die in the base. And then Rains does this.
The last plug is Parasite.
So we're just forgetting her ever being a good guy then. That's good characterization, thanks Anderson. Leon and Luther start shooting, and Rains just takes the shots, while Alice and Jill start their fight. Then Rains heals the wounds, forcing the bullets out of her fingers. You know, because pushing them out the way they went in is far too simple, and nowhere near as badass. Now it's time for the overly long and overly choreographed boss fight scene, with Jill having a massive advantage over Alice, and Rains kicking the other 2 guys' arses. The fighting continues, which is pretty damn dull to watch, as everyone shows off their martial arts skills. Yes, Anderson, we know you directed Mortal Kombat. You don't need to rip off the games as well. Jill knocks Alice to the ground, and picking her up by the neck, she's told by the Red Queen to kill her, starting up the snowmobile. Somehow. I've no idea how she did that exactly. But then Alice gets the fucking genius idea to just pull off the beetle attached to Jill's chest, which effectively cuts the connection to the Red Queen, shutting her down. Seriously? It was that fucking simple? Why did it take the entire movie for Alice or anyone to do that? You could do that just by running past her. My point is, it's a very obvious weak spot that should have been exploited a lot sooner. Hell, I'm surprised it didn't happen accidentally. Alice throws a thrashing beetle which jumps at her, and she shoots it out of the air. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that was an almost shot-for-shot recreation of another scene from a Paul W.S. Anderson film. He's ripping off his own movies now! Fuck me! The guys continue to fight Rains, and she gives Luther an X-ray shot to the chest, killing him instantly. What did I say? He was dead once it was a toss-up between him and Leon. Alice shoots Rains with them running at each other. Rains hits Alice in the chest with the same X-ray power she has, but it doesn't kill Alice like it did Luther, because she's more important to the plot. And on the ground, Alice brushes snow off the ice to see a zombie underneath, trying to get through. Even though that ice should be so thick, you couldn't see anything, unless it really is wafer thin. Rains kicks Alice, and Jill, who's awake now, throws her the gun so she can shoot the ice beneath Rains' feet, causing her to fall into the water as she gets the combo of drowning, freezing to death, and ripped apart by zombies all at the same time. Which wouldn't really kill her properly because she's got a parasite, so she would just mutate into some kind of monstrosity. But the movie's nearly over, so fuck it. The helicopter arrives just in the nick of way too fucking late, and manages to pick everyone up, giving Alice and the others medical attention, and then a joke. Because there was always that will they won't they thing in the games. The helicopter takes our team all the way back to Washington DC, to the Capitol building no less, and inside they get taken to the guy in charge. Well, Alice is, the rest are told to stay outside. And it's Wesker, who speeds towards Alice, injecting her again, this time reversing what he did in the last film. He injected her because he needed to be the ultimate badass so she can save the world from the Red Queen. As Wesker explains, she's waging war against the human race. Yeah, the Red Queen is fucking Skynet now. And Wesker, or Alice, is John Connor. So that's great. As we see the stronghold the Capitol building is in, is completely surrounded by creatures. The end. So, that was Resident Evil Retribution. Was this movie written? Now, I ask because, to me, it feels more like the ramblings of a lunatic. What in the name of holy fuck has this series become? This film is fucking awful. There's barely a plot to speak of. Characters are brought back haphazardly and without giving a shit of who the character's supposed to be. New characters are introduced in this, the 5th fucking film in a franchise. Old characters completely tossed aside like wet garbage. Over-stylized combat scenes that are not entertaining to watch. Terrible acting from everyone involved. The effects, shoddy and fuck awful. The writing, worse than fuck awful. And countless scenes just stolen from other films. There's supposed to be one last Resident Evil film called The Final Chapter. What a great title. And looking at this shit, even if you got the best writers on the planet, nothing can salvage this utter train wreck of a story. The Resident Evil series wasn't a steady decline into shit as I expected. There's really only one good film out of the bunch, and that's the first one. They should have quit while they were ahead. That was the Resident Evil series, and I'll see you next time.